just come. This is King of the Castle by Adam Wate. Exterior off-license, front present day, overflowing bins and cracked pavements, windows covered with junk food advertising, and an air of decay radiates. Approaching at a slow jog is Johan Jenkins, 30s, catching his breath and jovial as he checks his watch. A mother, 20s, walking with a child in a pram, reaches the entrance at the same time as Johan. He sees that she needs assistance as there is a step to get inside. He gestures for her to push the door open, and he will lift the handle side of the pram. The mother is smiling at the child in the pram while Johan lifts it inside. She takes over, pushing once it's inside. Johan walks behind, expecting the door to be open. A beep from his watch. He stops walking and momentarily looks down to check it. He walks forward and bang, falling back onto the ground. He sees the door is firmly shut and the mother is gone. An oblivious customer checking their mobile phone exits and steps over him. Customer suddenly sees an elderly lady and steps back over Johan to open the door for them. She steps over Johan, who is covering his eyes so as not to see up her dress. She plants her walking stick with a thud firmly between his legs. Johan's eyes are wide open in shock. Then he has another when he looks up. A large dog walks next to Johan and licks him continuously, not giving him a second's peace. The dog owner runs up, looking embarrassed.
I'm so sorry. He must really like you.
Johan tries fiercely to free his face from constant licks, and now the large dog is walking over him.
Jesus wept. You slipped him some industrial strength Viagra in his Winalot, or what?
The dog owner sheepishly walks forward and picks up the large dog's lead, trying their hardest not to laugh. Johan notices the amusement through the dog owner's clenched teeth.
And not some sort of canine sex doll for your dog to have their way in with. I'll be trundling home with the little puppies at this rate.
The dog owner can't contain their grin, and they regain control of the large dog. They both leave. Johan stands defiantly.
Just great. Pop to the shop to grab a drink, and I'm getting humped by a dog on heat.
Johan shakes himself down, then psychs himself for a run. A familiar bark comes from behind him, and subsequent barks get closer. He runs in the opposite direction. Exterior street junction day, a white van pulls into the junction and pauses, checking for other vehicles. Unknowing, Johan suddenly faces forward and his eyes widen at the danger he's about to run into. A loud bang as he plants into the side of the white van. He sits down vertically into a heap on the pavement's edge.
I need to get out of here.
The white van man, 40s, jumps out with a furious look and stands over Johan.
Oi, butt. Hope you're paying for them damages.
The large dog arrives and licks Johan's face and molests him again. The white van man's facial expression turns from fury to shock and cringe. A bark, he tilts his head back in disgust. Johan lies on the floor, despondent.
If you want my details, bud, you may have to step in and make this a threesome.
Interior solicitor's office day, a stale office covered in magnolia paint, devoid of life and decoration. Johan is sat in a suit behind a wooden desk with a few documents and looking apprehensive. The solicitor, 40s, twitchy and persistently arranging items on his desk that don't need to be moved. He sits down opposite Johan. He stands up, then back down again.
You've inherited a farmhouse and Westwatch Castle located in, let me pronounce it right.
The solicitor looks down at his sheet of paper intensely.
Lan Veer Pool, Gwyn Gil, Goga, U Quinn, Drob Ul, Landus, Ilio, Gogo Goch. No, that's not right. Let me try again.
Johan wants to say he's heard, but he's beaten to it.
Lan Veer Pool, Gwyn Gil, Goga, U Quinn, Drob Ul, Landus, Ilio, Gogo Goch. Ah, no. Try one last time.
Johan rolls his eyes and holds his hands to his face.
Lanveer Pool Gwyn Gil Goga U Quinn Drob Ul Landus Ilio Gogo Goch.
Johan sarcastically smiles and nods his head. The solicitor is red-faced and breathing heavily.
I can see why your hourly rate is the lowest round. Anyway, says here Castle Farm.
Oh. So it does. It looks like all that effort was for nothing. Never mind.
Johan looks worried, which steadily gets more panicked.
Also, the late Mr. Jenkins was a keen but extraordinarily unsuccessful gambler. I have a list of his creditors here who you need to settle with.
He lifts a pile of papers and they expand like the old connected printer paper down the desk and along the floor. Johan gulps and looks towards the door.
The door's locked. You can't escape. My fee is payable up front.
Johan has turned white and has angst about his face.
I suddenly feel like a fish in a net. I've just been caught a glimpse of Captain Birdseye holding a tray of batter.
Interior care home sitting room day. Several elderly residents are sat on chairs doing various activities. Sat in an armchair is an elderly lady resident, 80s, looking forward without blinking. Next to her in an adjacent armchair is Johan.
You know what? I'm so lucky to have an amazing mum. Support me through everything, and now I'm running a holiday home of all things. Biscuit?
Johan passes a packet of biscuits over, but she doesn't move.
Yeah, I'm watching the waistline myself, still. I know you've had all sorts of holiday adventures in your time. Life is definitely for living. You're long enough dead, am I right?
The elderly lady resident looks forward, blank-faced. Johan, I'm ready to go now, love. Johan turns. His mother, Sharon, 60s, standing eager to go in a coat and handbag. She's waving to get his attention. Johan smiles.
It was nice speaking to you. Stay active.
Johan exits. A nurse passes and leans down to check the pulse of the elderly lady resident. A beat. The nurse looks around, worried. Exterior country lane day. Johan is driving and approaches the castle with its reflection in the windscreen. He pulls to a stop when there's a perfect mirror image. He steps out of his car and looks in wonder forwards.
Whoa!
Westwatch Castle in all its medieval glory. There's a car horn. Beep. Johan turns to see a queue of cars with angry drivers behind him, blocked by his car. More beeps. Shift, you bloody idiot. Johan stopped in a McDonald's drive-through looking at billboards showing the castle. He puts his hands up, gesturing an apology. He quickly gets back in his car. Exterior farmhouse driveway day. Johan exits his car.
Well, this is worthy of a postcard.
He sees, in contrast to the billboard, a very sorry collection of crumbling walls and towers. In the corner, a tourist abruptly stops urinating against the wall, seeing Johan is looking at him. He runs away.
At least we're in no danger of a drought.
Interior farmhouse corridor day. Johan shuts the front door and looks round. Everything looks normal, no damage or serious work required. It's quiet, but then a rustling comes from behind a nearby door. Johan walks towards the door to investigate. The door opens, the toilet is flushing, and out steps the knight, 40s, dressed in a whole suit of armour, holding a sword in an aggressive position. Johan retreats terrified. He screams. The knight approaches, his footsteps heavy. He lifts up his visor.
Oh, you're right, pal.
Johan composes himself, but his expression turns to anger.
All right. You nearly gave me an heart attack. What the hell are you doing in here?
Now, mate. I was just having a slash.
Give me that bloody sword and I'll be slashing at something closer to home in a minute. I walked in my new house and I'm stumbling into a bloody battle of Ajinko.
Johan stands and walks towards the open toilet door.
Well, actually, historically
Sorry.
speaking,
Johan has his hand on the door and immediately holds his nose and waves his free arm.
Fai.
Johan takes a look behind the door.
Hey, pal, I think you forgot your mace.
Johan slams the door shut. He sees the knight has gone.
Where's that clanking prat gone?
He looks round.
Well, I'm not pulling that out. He'll be coming in here, sitting back down and talking with it. And taking it with him.
Clicking of fingers comes from the next room.
hello, excuse me.
Johan walks to see who it is. Interior, farmhouse kitchen day. A family is sat at a dining table, complete with plates and cups. The children are playing with cutlery. The mother is glaring at Johan and father is looking down sheepishly.
What time do you call this? You should be ashamed of yourself for this service.
Johan walks to
No
the
idea
table.
what accent that is now.
I'm sorry.
Call this a castle cafe? I can think of a few C words, love, but not a cafe.
Johan is shocked at the suggestion.
I think there's been a crosswire. I'm not running a cafe here.
Well, to whichever nonce is running it. We'll have helped ourselves in the chocolate milk, and it's a hot day. I'm not paying for it, mind. It tastes disgusting.
Johan walks to the fridge, opens it, and looks at 2 milk cartons. Both are very out of date. A look of horror comes over his face. He looks at the glasses on the table that have all been emptied.
I want you all to remain very calm.
You deaf or something? I told you I ain't paying.
Johan awkwardly smiles with a full carton in his hand. He changes his mind.
I've also got some banana-flavoured milk, if you like, instead. Free, of course.
The mother looks as if she's won a war. Johan's awkward smile turns to an evil grin. Interior castle gift shop day. The shelves are covered in medieval souvenirs and books, but it's devoid of customers. Keris, 20s, deep in concentration and typing, is sat behind a desk. The entrance door opens and Johan enters, anxious, and looks around for life. He sees Keris and stops in his tracks, instantly smitten. Peace and harmony take over his face. Keris looks at him and gives the briefest smile.
Can I help you?
Hi. Is there a manager?
A large welcome sign falls on top of him. Keris is mortified. She moves to get up. Howell, 50s, smartly dressed with glasses, exudes an air of knowledge and authority, rushes towards Johan.
Stay where you are, Keris. I've got this. Can I help you at all, sir? My name is Howell, the manager of Westwatch Castle.
Johan pushes the sign off himself and holds his head.
I think I'm bleeding.
Howell leans in to take a look.
I think you'll be fine. Count yourself lucky I haven't put the bilingual sign up. The Chrysor may have taken your head off.
Johan stands incensed, nursing his head.
Good thing the uptake of the Welsh language is as low here as down south. Anyway, I'm moving in next door.
Oh, well, that's a relief. I have so many ideas for how we can improve the customer experience.
Hang on, pal. I'm not done. So, within seconds of crossing the threshold, I have now got a family here who may not survive the night, and a lumen health inspector giving me a minus food hygiene rating.
Howell's look of sympathy turned to snootiness.
Oh, well.
Oh? What do you mean, oh?
Well, just not from around here, are you? We're a proper community here, unlike down there, where you're from.
Johan looks unimpressed at Howell, unsure what he's suggesting.
I'm Welsh, exactly the same as you. Don't know what you mean, don't know what you're on about down there.
Evidently not. Well, I'll...
Hey, Prince Llewellyn of bloody Gwynedd, I'm still not done.
And that's the end of our excerpt. I'm just going to turn my light on one moment. I seem to have gone rather dark. Okay, guys, what do you think? Catherine, any thoughts?
Yeah, I quite liked the comedy in it. A little bit deadpan, a little bit slapstick. It was quite a nice mix. I wondered if perhaps he was breaking the fourth wall and talking to the audience or talking to the characters at times, which I think would work. Yeah, it was good descriptions in there. It was very visual, some good jokes. Interested to see what happens next. I think with the right cast, that could work quite well.
Okay.
And apologies for the Welsh accent.
No worries, Errin.
What Catherine said, I agree with too. I was wondering about the fourth wall thing as well, because it and I was curious about like the actual like hope for the pacing of the project, because it kind of felt a little like Fleabag with a way when you're talking about the breaking of the fourth wall. That's kind of one of the first things that came to my mind. But it also has like a Jack Benny, Clue, Monty Python kind of like almost like an older school comedy vibe, which I really thought was cool. And so I'm really curious about where it's going. because I thought it was really, really interesting. And like I feel like I'm curious if the pacing will be, fast, and if there'll be almost like that slapstick, like, or like sound effects, like little cards that kind of describe what's going on or something eventually. I don't know. It was cool. I'm curious to see where it's going. And
Oh, thank you. That's great. Emma.
I have a real difficulty with visual humour in that I don't get it a lot of the time. So I had a hard job actually picturing what was happening. Like, why was he falling over, and how does this happen? It's sort of a bit like Mr. Bean or something like that, and also like The Plank, if anyone's ever seen that, with Eric
Oh, The
Sykes, an
Plank is
old thing.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And so it had that kind of air to it, but I just sometimes I'm just a bit thick. I don't get it, and so I get a bit puzzled by visual stuff. I mean, I liked it with the old lady actually. For some reason, I quite like the idea that he was offering a corpse biscuits. That was sort of, or potentially a corpse biscuits, was quite nice, because you kind of think that that's maybe the his mum, and you think, oh, she's a resident, but presumably she's a worker there. So I quite liked that bit. Yeah, I kind of, and I liked the thing about the uptake of the Welsh language, that it would have hurt his head more had it been the welcome sign in both languages. So it was quite nice too. I think, it's interesting that there might be some sort of time shift thing, whether it's the knight, or because I thought first of all it was a historical role play person, and or whether the family are kind of from the future when he's already set up this thing. I can't quite work out where it's going. Some of the description I find hard to visualize, but I am interested in what's going to happen next, so that's clearly a good thing.
I think it might be possibly that there's a night because it's like a tourist attraction.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those rather than, I don't
Yeah.
know, I might be wrong, but well, that,
Yes.
we could do with some sort of context on that side of things, to be fair. But
Yeah, like they get actors to go around, I don't know, Hampton Court or something, and
Yeah.
learn all the
Yes,
stories. Yeah.
that's true, yes.
because they've got a cafe there and everything, so I
Yes.
presume it's some sort of tourist attraction, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know though, because it isn't specifically described, but just guess.
Interesting.
It might be nice to know kind of where we are to start with, whether we're over the border or whether in a different part of Wales, or just to get a kind of sense of where he's come from and things, because I think that it does seem suddenly like, oh, he's in the solicitors, oh, he's inherited something, oh, okay, he's seeing his mum and now he's here. So yeah, I think maybe there's a couple of story beats that I have missed somehow along the way.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how he inherited it.
Yeah.
It wasn't explained either, but
yeah, maybe it comes up later or something, perhaps. I don't know,
Possibly.
whether it's popped in.
Yeah.
Do you know this whole thing, Angela? Do you know how it's
No,
sort of
no,
panning
I
out?
don't. No, this is the first I've read of this. No,
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it. John, your thoughts?
I really enjoyed it. Thing is, all I could see in my head for Errin was Michael Sheen, and that's all I had. And it just, I was chuckling away to myself because I thoroughly enjoyed this, especially the solicitor struggling with, fanfare, porgalist, and all that lot. Go. So yes, I enjoyed it. Definitely want to know where it goes. Definitely got the impression that there was a lot of fourth wall breaking, but really enjoyed it. It appealed to my sense of humour.
Yeah.
Because there's quite a bit of darkness in there as well. Like you say, chatting to the old lady who's on the verge of extinction and offering her a biscuit. I found that hilarious.
That's brilliant. Thank you. I think my comments are just give people names, because it's a little bit confusing when you've got a mother walking with the child, then you've got another mother who's
there was
his.
3 of them altogether, I think, wasn't
Then
there?
there's who turns out to be his mother. Then there's another mother at the end. If they all had different names,
Yes.
but White Van Man, you don't need to worry about giving him a name ever. but yeah, certainly, the mothers all need names, I think. It would be quite nice to give the knight a name, wouldn't it? Just because if he's going to feature at some point later, it would be nice.
I think actors always like that because it sounds so much better, on your spotlight or whatever, rather
You've got a
than
name,
third
yeah,
woman.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's useful, isn't it?
It is, yeah, I think so. And it's good to have a name. The solicitor definitely needs a name.
Well, I did an American film where I had a big part in it, and you see me again and again and again, and I'm only labelled as tough guy number 2. Never even got a name.
No, it's sad, isn't it? I think
Yeah.
I think it's harder to invest in them when they're nameless. It feels like the
Yeah.
writer hasn't really bothered.
thing
And
is,
so
the person I'm playing opposite called me Frankie. He had my name in his script,
That's
but they didn't give me a name
badly
on my script or in the credits. It was hilarious.
I think maybe with this one, perhaps, I mean, the visuals are very good for those that get visuals. I mean, it's very descriptive with the visuals, but I don't think it was very instructional as a script, if that makes sense. It could do with maybe making it a little bit more context heavy for the people reading the script, the ones that, you know, the cast and the crew that need to.
I think what I could hear, I could hear the Welsh accent in the descriptions. I think it's written, Adam, you've written it with your, it's great actually. But I could just sort of hear somebody saying this in a Welsh accent. I don't know, some of the idioms, that's the word I'm looking for. Some of the idioms feel, which is nothing wrong with that. I think you're right. Needs a little bit more instructional.
Just so we all know what we're talking about.
So that we all also please put page numbers on. Always good to have page numbers at the very least. I was going to say something else and it's gone out of my head completely. So I love the humor. I love the idea that he's completely, you know, accident prone and the most bizarre accidents seemingly. So there is a bit of Mr. Bean in there, isn't there? Yeah.
You have to cast really carefully, I think, don't you, when there's somebody that's hapless like that? Because we have to really feel for them. Otherwise, we just start thinking, so ridiculous, and I don't care. And so, yeah, I suppose we have to kind of love them a little bit somehow, don't we?
I mean, yes, we don't know what happens next, and maybe you cover it later, but yeah, it would be good to know how come he's suddenly at the solicitors, and maybe he can go into the solicitors with a letter, waving it or something, saying, you know, I got your letter.
And what I forgot, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the fact that
great aunt Matilda died and left you the castle or something, just to, you know.
Yeah, and time passing as well. It's like how soon after going to the offie does he go to the solicitors? And yeah, sort of, because I suppose it depends on how kind of urgent all that stuff is.
That bit kind of jumped. He never actually went in the shop in the end, did he?
No.
So why was he going to the shop? That was a bit.
A drink of something he wanted, but whether he was on a jog and he wanted something to quench his thirst. Yeah, I guess.
The other, who was it said about the where was it you, John, saying where we are in Wales?
Emma said that.
Yes, well, it does tell you where you are.
That
no,
place
it does tell you where the castle is, but it doesn't tell you to start with.
No, I think it would just be. It needs to maybe be a village sign or something, or or just something that, you know.
Or when you start off, you know.
We talk about the north and
in,
south, don't we? They talk in towards the end of the example. We talk about you're from the south, or it would be good to just understand that a little bit. But other than that, yeah, great. Crack on with it.
Yeah, definitely. Some very funny bits in it.
Okay. Yeah, Emma. Errin.
I would just wanted to say I meant Benny Hill, not Jack Benny. Like I was getting the vibe like Tim Curry from the Carol Burnett show. I told this to the completely. I'm sorry. That's like in that comedy, that kind of like because he was always in trouble or something, you know, like. So that makes more sense probably. Okay, anyways, thank
The
you.
one actually you probably need to look up if you want comedians who were always getting in trouble and slapstick is Charlie Drake.
Oh,
Charlie
yes.
Drake, yeah.
He was always getting in those sorts of weird.
And also Frank Spencer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, we seem
But
to have.
Mr. Bean was a good one too. That
Mr.
was a
Bean.
Yeah,
good.
Frank Spencer kind of did it better.
All right,
Micheal.
I'm gonna stop
Oh.
recording now because I think we've covered that.
Michael Crawford.